The Brainless One will give you the top 10 jobbers all time.
Wow.
Number 10, the zombie from ECW.
Brains.
That dude came out there. He looked like the janitor was covered in soot, and they just sent him out there to just whatever, just get an ass kicking. And he grabs the microphone and just goes, just like he just finished watching The Great Gatsby.
When I saw him, I honestly thought it was like a guy who was a knockoff of the Juicer from WCW.
I thought it was just. I honestly thought it was Vin Diesel's brother who was in wrestling, and then the Sandman came out there with his Singapore cane, and he hammered the fucking shit out of the guy with the cane to the point where the dust was shooting off of the dude's body as he's beating. It was one of my favorite episodes of ECWWE. Was that first episode they did where he fought the zombie, and I'm pretty sure the Italians were there too. So obviously, But anyway, number 9. WCW legend Randy Hogan.
Yes. Randy Hogan was great.
Man, did he look like Aldi's Hulk Hogan or what?
Randy Hogan was Gilbert before Gilbert.
I got a good one for you for number 8. You're going to like this one.
Okay.
Number 8, the Ding Dongs. Number 7, I know that you mentioned the dance moves that Daniel Garcia and Das Wunderkind had, and that's because Das Wunderkind is actually a good wrestler who could dance, and Daniel Garcia is a good wrestler with no personality and can't dance. But this guy takes the cake, because not only does this guy not have a personality, he can't wrestle, and he can't dance. Number 7, the Disco Inferno.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't care if he's not classified as a jobber. Guess what? The Disco Inferno is a jobber. Number 6. I might have some arguments on here, but I am almost positive that a very young Brainless One remembers a young enhancement talent by the name of Tony DeVito because he looked like Danny DeVito when he wrestled.
Tony Cutlets? What?
Yeah, Tony Cutlets. Number 5, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of people to pop for this one, and he's probably lower than most people would have. Number 5, Iron Mike Sharp.
Oh! I'm looking forward to the next round of names you come up with. There's one name I'm hoping to hear, and I think I'm going to hear it. It's going to be great.
Number 4. This one is one of my personal favorites because not only is this guy one of the greatest jobbers of all time, he has been a part of major storylines. And if I'm not mistaken, he's a former champion. And not only that, but he made patting yourself on the back cool with the handprint on the jacket, and I'm going with Barry Horowitz.
All right.
One of my...
I thought Barry Horowitz was going to be number 1 on this list. I'm a little shocked that he is not number 1, but that's okay. The name I still want to hear is out there. I'm still expecting to hear it. Continue on, Brainless One.
If it's who you think it is, Cousin Jay, I have a feeling he's number 2.
Okay. All right.
But number 3, another one of my personal favorites when my childhood, and for silly reasons, because it's just that's how I am. Number 3, Damien Demento.
All right.
The guy who used to have, like, he had the skull. He would have the skull head, and he had the ponytail, and he had black tassels and looked like the Ultimate Warrior. He took the Ultimate Warrior's attire and sprayed it black. And he would always go in there and he would do like the cheap shot to the referee and his opponent before the match starts. Like he's fighting Dino Bravo and he goes in and he kicks him. He also wrestled, I believe, The Undertaker at the first ever Monday Night Raw. But Damian Demento, just because of the fact that he was so eccentric and he had a very unique look about him, he stood out for me as one of the greatest jobbers of all time.
All right.
Number 2, Cousin Jay. This one's a good one. Because not only does this guy had an impressive run in WWE, he is the first man to win the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. He is also the first wrestler in the history of mankind to get picked up and Gronk spiked on national television by a guy who has a Waffle House bill that is usually $3 bills. But most importantly, and I cannot stress this enough, the number 2 greatest jobber of all time with these 2 hands has a fighting chance. Duh. Come on, Cousin Jay.
James Ellsworth.
I applaud that. As goofy as he looked and as horrible as a wrestler he was, and the fact that he looked like the Tiger King on, from the trailer park, like an actual trailer park and not an actual Tiger King. I applaud that man for taking that 15 seconds of fame that he got before Braun Strowman absolutely eviscerated him on national television and turned it into a 1-year contract and got to get put on the list of Jericho.
Yes.
So I applaud James Ellsworth. However, on the grand scheme of things, he is only number 2. And since I announced numbers 10 through 2, Cousin Jay, would you like to take a guess who I believe is the greatest jobber of all time? Spoiler alert, you may be surprised.
So I'm not going to go with the usual names here. I want to go with somebody who perhaps is the greatest seller of the high cross body of all time. I'm going to go with primetime Brian Lee.
That is one hell of a guess, Cousin Jay. But like I said, I'm going to shock everyone with this one.
Okay.
And I wanted to put him on there, but then I realized he was the fake Undertaker, so that eliminated
He was the fake Undertaker, and I do believe he won a tag team championship. Wasn't he part of the
Disciples of Apocalypse? Yeah, the biker gang with Truck. With Crush. Jesus, Truck.
But again, as much as I understand, he really wasn't a jobber in the full sense.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Clash 13.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was just so next level. It felt like it fit.
Honest to goodness, I was trying to come up with somebody from that, but then I was like, I could do the entire top 10, and they could be all jobbers.
Yes.
Because there's no way in hell anybody has ever seen Kalua or the Botswana Beast on national television wrestling in anything other than the Pat O'Connor Memorial Tournament. You could have made it the Motor City Madman because that guy was awful. You could have had my cousin and shit with his axe and no Ox Baker like they said he had. But anyway, I went outside the box. Well, not really, because technically he is the greatest jobber of all time because he was apparently an enhancement talent. And then one fateful night on Monday Night Raw, the Kid beat Razor Ramon, and the greatest jobber in the history of professional wrestling, and the only jobber in the WWE Hall of Fame, is X-Pac.
Okay.
Sean Waltman, the Kid, the 1-2-3 Kid, is the greatest jobber of all time because he was it. That's what he was. He was an enhancement talent, went up against Razor Ramon, beat him, and they turned it into the 1-2-3 Kid. Then he became 6-Pac. Then he became X-Pac. And then he had one night in China. And he is one of the few people that can actually say he was in the OG NWO and in D-Generation X.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, even Rick Rude, it's like he was like OG DX.
Yeah.
Eventually in NWO, but he was like member number 29.
When he gets put into the NWO after Masahiro Chino, I think it was. Masahiro, I probably butchered that. But he was in there on the stage. There was like 10 people after Scott Norton before they brought in Rick Rude. And Scott Norton that was it. Once they put Scott Norton in the NWO, it was it. It all went downhill. Him and Vincent. Neither one of them belonged in the NWO.
Scott Norton wrestled in front of 300,000 people, I'll have you know.
Like I said, I have a greater appreciation.
Held at gunpoint.
I have a greater appreciation for Scott Norton after everything he endured in Korea. Does not mean that I think that he should have been in the NWO when Ice Pick should have went in there with him.
Yeah.
Or Fire and Ice or Earth, Wind, and Fire, whatever their tag team name was.
Yeah.
Yeah.